Hello, my name's Niranjan, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast. Learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 102, and I'll be talking to Nico Lagan, an entrepreneur, mentor coach, Muay Thai instructor, and a host of a controversial podcast, The Nico Lagan Show. After spending more than 10 years in corporate sales, he decided to leave it all behind and follow his personal legend. Nico grew up without guidance of a strong masculine figure. It sent him on a search of a mentor. Not knowing what he was looking for, he associated with and idolized the wrong men. His decision as a teen led him down the wrong path in quitting school and selling drugs. Nico now uses his life experiences as a high school dropout and a former drug addict to show men the proper mindset. Everything is possible. His life purpose is to help men become good men, and good men to become great men by following the path of their personal legends. Nico just finished writing his first book entitled Purpose: How Following Your Personal Legend is the answer to your midlife crisis, aimed at men between the ages of 30 to 45 who already possess the 5 virtues of a good man: a provider, protector, courage, temperance, and faith. Now facing an existential crisis, referred to by many as a midlife crisis. These men are realizing that they are one day going to die, begging the question, is there something more than the daily grind? The book explains what it's all about and how the solution is to find purpose. Purpose is the antidote. Hello and welcome to Nico. How are you, Nico?
I'm incredibly good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm excited and curious to see how this conversation is going to unfold, because we had a pre-conversation, which maybe I should have recorded, but nevertheless, it was a great enriched conversation about your stance in supporting men on their journey to manhood, if I can say that.
Absolutely.
But my curiosity lies even deeper in you taking that stance for yourself and now being the cheerleader or the champion for others. What put you in that position for you?
You know, it's kind of a very interesting question that you're asking it right now, because I literally just hung up with my old martial art instructor. I haven't spoken to him in 10 years, and he reached out to me on Messenger on Facebook the other day, and we were just talking about this. And I asked him to help me understand, because he's older than I am. I wanted him to explain to me what I'm supposed to do here, because what I'm noticing is I do put a lot of content out there. I do put a lot of content that a lot of people don't like to hear, that they don't necessarily agree with. And they become very vicious in their way of the way they resonate with it. It's not from a place of love. It's not from a place of trying to understand. It's from a place of battle. It's from a place of almost violence. And I don't care who you are, when you have millions of views and you get thousands upon thousands of comments, it does get at you when 80% of the comments that you get are negative, right?
Yeah.
And I was asking him exactly that. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't want to say I'm a sensitive person. I'm an emotional person. I've learned to deal with my emotions, but
Mm-hmm.
it still affects me. There's times I have to take time off of social media because it's just too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking him exactly that. I'm like, so what am I supposed to do? He's like, bro, it's pretty simple. You were meant to do this. So your job is not to worry about what people say. Your job is to simply do it because that's what you're supposed to be doing. So just do it. Don't worry about it's easy to say he knows that, but he's like, it's not up to you to know if your message is reaching good people or bad people. Your job as a man is just to put it out there as much as you can and just help people that way. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what? I, Bruce Lee said that you should never ask for an easy life. You should always ask for the strength to endure a hard one. I think that everything that happened to me in my life was for me to become tough, both mentally and physically, so that I can take the abuse that 99.9% of people cannot take.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the need to be that voice, not because it brings me something personally. At the end of the day, I don't do it because I get recognition. I do it because I have to. It's not an option. I don't. It doesn't feel right if I don't do it. So your question is interesting because I just do it because I have to, because I'm supposed to do it, so I do. I just do it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a choice. I don't think that purposely. I don't have a choice. It's what I'm supposed to be doing, so I do it.
So it's an interesting perspective in which you're supporting men to be vocal and to pave their own path and live the life that they want to live for themselves. In the same token, you are being ostracized, you are being picked against, you are being um, put against. So
Yeah,
you standing in your truth
yeah.
to empower others.
It's very interesting. It's a very interesting process to be living the life I'm supposed to live and being fought left and right, day in, day out, with people that don't have an understanding of themselves. It you know, there is such a thing as exposing people when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you're living your purpose, as I like to say it, it will wake things in other people that they will either be inspired by what you do, or the vast majority of them will be pissed off at you for what you do,
Yeah.
because deep down you're exposing their laziness. You're exposing that you're a coward for not going after what you want, and you know that you're supposed to be doing. And that irritates them when that's not the message at all. I'm not calling them anything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just living my life trying to help others live a life similar to mine, as in I'm free from what society thinks of me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wake up in the morning to say, what can I do today that will please people? What can I do that aligns with my instinct, with my heart, with what I'm supposed to do? And this is what I do. I just find it very interesting. I did not expect people to be this closed off. There's a lot of very popular people that I've been saying this for years and I never understood until the last few months. The more popular I become, the more I understand what they mean is they don't even look at the comments of their social media anymore. They have teams that deals with them. They record the message, they send that to an editing team. The editing team sends it to
Yeah.
a group that manages their social media, and they're completely detached from that world. And I
Yeah.
understand what it is. I'm not there yet, although I have the editing team. I'm not there to the management part, but I
Mm-hmm.
got a feeling that within the next 6 months to a year, I won't have a choice because it's going to become too much.
Right.
It's so negative. I don't like to live in negativity. I don't. It affects me. It hurts me. I
Yeah.
don't want to live in that world, and I'm starting to understand why people do it too, where they separate, they post because it's a business. Let's not lie to each other. I'm a product like any person that's online. You're a product, but it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to detach yourself from that, but I understand now why they do it.
It's a catch-22 in while you're paving the path and creating that path for them to move forward on, it's also triggering their own pain, which is why they lash out and come back at you. So in true sense, it's a very courageous journey, somebody paving the path forward and creating that space so others can understand that is a very courageous journey.
My coach said something that just resonated with me now as you were saying this. I'm a big fan of meditation. I have interacted with, I'll call them entities because I don't know what they are, and it doesn't matter to me what they are. Like, I don't really care, but I've had messages given to me in my head by somebody else. It was not me that was speaking, and it was like somebody had something to say to me. I heard it.
Mhm.
And I was told years ago, about 3 years ago, during a meditation when I was living back in the woods, and there's something that told me that your job for the rest of your life is to be a healer and to be a messenger. And this is what my coach just said. It's interesting. It did not spark something in my head, but he's absolutely right. It's the same thing that something told me years ago. It is not my job to try to understand why I'm doing it. It's not my job to worry about the people that are lashing out. All I'm supposed to do is say what's on my mind, hoping that it resonates with people. And that's it. There's nothing more, nothing less. It's just, you said it beautifully. Like, you're a very enlightened person when it comes to that. I really, really, just so you know, I really enjoyed our conversation last time. It's not very often that I get that emotional with somebody that I don't know, but it was I feel you understand exactly what I mean. It's
100%.
it's a beautiful thing. I gotta say that it doesn't happen to me very often, although I interact with thousands of people.
Of course you do.
It does not happen very often that somebody understands without having me explaining to them.
Yeah, I get it.
Is a perfect word. Messenger. Thank you. I'll try to remember that, because
Yeah,
the days that it's rough, I'll try to remember that.
yeah. It's almost as if we have to step away from this eye of identity that we've created in ourselves in this world, and this mission and vision that we feel is our calling.
Yep.
Is stepping aside from that and allowing the other parts of you to come forward.
And that's all I've been doing for the past 3 years. I have not questioned. Whatever I feel like doing, I do. Because I thought my instincts have never been wrong in my life.
Yeah.
The only time I've been wrong is when I did not listen to my instincts. And since I spent so much time in isolation 3 years, almost 4 years ago now, that journey completely changed the way I see the world. And I don't question it. I don't question it at all. If it's in my heart, that means I'm supposed to be doing it. I don't question why I'm doing it.
Right.
But the next step is to deal with the consequences that I'm starting to see, and they're only going to get worse. So hopefully I figure this one out sooner than later. Hopefully.
Well, it's about perspective, right? It's the perspective on what is being revealed and shown to you as your brand and your messaging increases and grows isn't about the negative aspect of it. It's about the positive of, okay, there's this many people charging towards me, then I'm really doing something right. So let's keep going.
Yep, I agree.
And I know it's easy for me to say, because I get it too on the same perspective. Maybe not as a grander scale as you, but energetically I feel it.
Yeah.
Even though people are not brave enough sometimes, screen talking, but it's there, it's visible, it's tangible, and it's very palatable in my world. So nevertheless,
I think, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to we all have a different cross to bear. And it's simply that could be mine. This is what I'm coming up to over the past few days, because a couple of weeks ago I took almost a week off because I couldn't deal with it. I was just, it was so, I had one of my videos go to 1.4, 1.5 million within a few days, and the comments got out of control.
Yeah.
I don't put that type of videos out there to create animosity between the left and the right, basically. I just put it out there because it is true to me. I don't want to devise people more than they already are.
Right.
But is it my responsibility to worry about that? I think not. In the same way as, can I do something about the negative comments or all the negative energy that comes out of it? Neither can I. So maybe, as my old instructor was just saying, that it's just my cross to bear. It belongs to me, and I got to make peace with the fact that that's the price I have to pay to live my purpose. If that's what it comes down to, I'll take that deal.
Perhaps, but we could unravel that. But I'm curious to know a little bit more about you in terms of all that you've just shared, in terms of what you believe about yourself, what you've come to, what you've been through for yourself and witnessed in others. What do you believe about yourself, and do you feel it defines who you are?
At the end of the day, I don't even know that I know what I am. I think that's a question that I'll never have an answer to. All I am is alive. I think it would be the easiest way to explain it is just, in the Bible it says that man was created off of Jesus. Like, it explains that they would have taken the rib of Jesus and I see the world like this. I speak to God every day, not in a religious way, but in a spiritual way. If I can communicate with God, I am God because I come from him. This is what I am. I think this is just what we live here is temporary. I understand that. I like to play, Alan Watts calls it the Joker role. I like to play the Joker. This is how I tend to see the world. So I know that this is all a big farce and this is all funny. It's all games, and try to enjoy it as much as you can. But I also believe that our souls, if you will, are sent here to learn something. There is a reason there's reincarnation. There's a reason why, if you look at mathematics, they say the first law of thermodynamics states that energy is never lost, it is simply redistributed. So that means that every single thing that's been alive since the Big Bang, if we agree that this is what happened, that something was created out of nothing. So that means that nothing has been lost since then. So did the Hindu get it right with reincarnation? I believe that they did. Mathematics and physics can explain it now, but this is what, if you ask me what I am, I think that's what it is. I try to keep the fact that I have a reason to be here. I have to make an impact, and there's something I'm supposed to learn. And maybe that's what I don't know what it is yet. I haven't figured out what I'm supposed to be learning, but I know for a fact that I'm supposed to be helping. There wouldn't be any other reason. Why would I be here if it wasn't for the fact that I'm supposed to help people? What's the point of living if you're not helping?
To be of service, right?
100%. So you know what? I'll answer your question by saying I'm here to help. This is what I am.
What do you feel are some of the attributes that you have garnered in all of your experiences, past to current, even with the challenges of social media and comments and so forth, that connect you to your purpose?
I think it's the lack of father. I think that it all started there, being raised without somebody to teach me the ropes, looking for a role model has shown me that self-destruction exists, that you are, with your mind, capable of making your life paradise as you're capable of making a hell out of it. It is all how you choose to perceive it. It has making me tough, so tough mentally and physically, that I come to believe that the real lessons in life are learned through pain. Pain and suffering are the greatest of teachers. At the end of the day, I think that's all it is. There's nothing more than that. Like, I look at my life, I look at all the skills that I've acquired over a long sales career, 12 years in sales, to culminate to this, to give me all the tools that I require in order to be in front of a camera. All my life as a child, that felt like I didn't have anybody to look up to. All the education system that has told me all my life that I was stupid because I did not work in a school system has given me so much drive to say, you know what, I'll do it my way then. So if I look at my life, everything that I've been through today, I use on a daily basis. My message comes from the pain that I had as a youth. The fact that I read 30, 40 books a year comes from the fact that the school systems told me I was stupid because I didn't fit into a box. Yet I look at the person, I look at most of the people that I've met in my life. I'm more educated book wise and street wise than 99.9 of people that I've ever encountered. All the skills that I've acquired with my sales career allows me to speak to millions of people every month. It allows me to step on a stage on a 2 seconds notice and just resonate with the people that are there. So it's interesting when you actually take the time to look at everything that's happened to you, not in a negative way, but in a way to say, okay, sure, there's what did I learn? Why did that happen to me? As soon as you start asking yourself questions as to why did that happen, not is it my fault that it happened, but in the grand scheme of things, looking back, let's step back and just look at, why wasn't my father present? Because other boys don't have fathers. You're going to end up being very tough, and you will have to speak to them. It will be your role to help those people out. It's interesting when you start looking at this and then you start looking at what instinctively you're doing. I started helping men before I realized that I was supposed to do it. I've been trying to help people as far as I can remember, but I did not have a reason behind it until the last few years. It is done consciously now.
Yeah.
I know what I'm supposed to be doing, so I look for it. I'm aware of it. Life is very interesting if you pay attention.
Those are magic words right there, right? So if we pay attention,
Yeah.
Who wants to live a life on autopilot? But I guess there's a lot of billions of people who do. So we're not here to judge them.
The vast majority, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if you tell them that they should try something else, they'll tell you that you're crazy and they'll be mad at you. And I know what I'm saying because unfortunately it is what it is.
Yeah, we're all faced with it. We're all faced with it.
Yep.
So other than paving the path and being a healer and an advocate, I want to say, for men on their journey, so they don't have to endure all the suffering and pain that has been installed on a very stereotypical third dimensional human level. Fast forward, what are your intentions with this craft that keeps unraveling slowly to speak into these men? You've shared also that you hadn't envisioned being in this position, and all these skills led you up to where you are today. What's coming down the pipe? What would Nico anticipate 5, 10 years down the road with the skills that you have now? What's possible?
Oh, I know exactly what it is. I've known for years what I wanted to do. Unfortunately, it takes time, but what I want to do is to elevate consciousness. I want to help men understand that there's so much more than the physical world. There's so much more than what happens around you that you can see with your eyes. That there is a world out there that, for lack of a better term, is invisible to us, but you can feel it. There's meditation practices that you can be part of it. There's substances that you can take that can help you get even a higher vibration, like a higher state of mind. And this is what I'm interested in talking about. Quite frankly, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about spirituality. I want to talk about how these realizations have changed my life. That the reason that I am what I am today is because I have those discussions with myself, is because I've had discussions with beings that I have no idea what they are. And it's not important what they are, but I've participated in conversations that doesn't make sense to the average person, but yet to me are as real as the conversation we're having, you and I, right now.
Yes.
But I can't talk about this because people are not ready to hear this type of message. So I have to bring it down to a level where I'm in between. And slowly, as you said, over the next 5, 10 years, I'm hoping that I will be able to get to the message that I really want to do, to the, one of the dreams that I have is to help military with PTSD.
Mm.
One of my biggest dreams is to create a place where they can actually learn. I want to give them the tools to be able to face their PTSD, like John Hopkins is doing with psilocybin, they're not ceremonies, but how they're doing it with psilocybin. I would love to do this, but in more of a natural setting, because I think the way John Hopkins is doing it is wrong. Doing it in a stealth environment where you're kind of isolating people in a medical center is not right. You should be in nature. You should be surrounded by natural things, not men fabricated things, but things that vibrate naturally.
Yeah.
This is what I really want to do. I want to be able to take those people and prepare them mentally to the journey that they will experience during those sessions, and be there for the reintegration afterwards to try to make sense about what happened, because this is something that I find is missing in all the ceremonies that I've ever done. The reintegration is mostly done alone. It's done after the fact, after you left. Most of I've never been to a place where you could stay there a week after, for example, and still be in the same environment to try to make sense. Too many people jump back right into the work. They go back right to the grind that put them there in the first place. So I'm hoping that sooner than later, I will be able to take men on those paths. And sooner than later, I'm thinking a year or two, to try to help them at a smaller level. It might not be my own property, my own place. It might be somewhere else. But hopefully, I can help men more than just teaching them how to embrace their manliness, to really take it further in a way that you can heal generational issues. Like, this is something that I never speak about either. I don't think I've ever spoken about this on camera before. But there are things that your parents will teach you, that were taught to them, that until they're stopped being taught, will just continue happening because it's a vicious circle. And most people don't do it on purpose. They just don't know any better. And yeah, maybe that breaking that vicious cycle is really what I want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is to
Because
liberate people from themselves, as weird as this is gonna sound.
yeah.
Liberating people from their perception of self. Let's say that.
Mm-hmm.
Am I making any sense here? Because I've never put those thoughts into words. I normally just keep them to myself and think about it. So I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense at all.
Absolutely, it does. So you talked about serving individuals in a space of them being not aware, and the rebellion streak coming out of them because it's hitting a nerve to their core, which is why you're getting this backlash, so to speak. What if you was to serve individuals who are speaking your language in where you want to grow, where your elevation and where your true desire is sitting? Because we can all stay at level 1, 2, but if our desire, and we've already been through primary school, middle school, high school, and we're ready to go to university, just because the masses are out there, do we still stay in primary school?
It's I know where you're going with this, and it's I 3.5, 4 years ago, I decided to leave the city and just go live by myself in the woods because that's what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is what my instincts. I had bought a house in the middle of nowhere, just on a hunch. Something told me that one day I'd need it, and I ended up living there for 2.5 years. So I did need it because that was the most transformative experience of my life.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Your question is a very good one, and I don't think I've ever put that much thought into the way you're proposing it, because it's hard to reach. So the subset of men, if I had to put a number on it, the subset of people that will interact with my message will be positive maybe 10 or 20% of the time, and 20% being at most. It's more like a 10%. So the people that you're describing, which I would be part of, is a fraction of that 10%.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same, if it's a 10% of that 10%. So it's only 1% of all. Yep. And I think 1% is a big number. I wouldn't be surprised that the number is a lot smaller than that. So I don't know. I would have to. This is a great question. I've never been asked this before, but it's something I really have to put into thoughts, because this, to me, there's two ways. Because you're absolutely right that those are the people I want to help. At the end of the day, the people that got to a point where they understand that this is a joke, they understand that there's a reason for them to be here. As much as this is a joke, there's still a reason why we're here. And once you know what that reason is, or finding that reason, is really what I want to do. This is where I want to be, is to help men find what their true calling is, find what their true purpose is. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. But I haven't figured out, the only way I can see how to do that is by continuing what I'm doing right now, by starting a group that's more private. So the small percentage of people that really resonate with my message, they go into that group. And then eventually, a few months from now, I will take a small subset of the people that are in that group to go into a different group. And those are the people that will actually get to know what I really am. Those are the people that I'm going to start interacting with 100% of me. It's not just going to be a subset of. I know that it's going to be 100% what I am and what I want to do.
Right.
But we unfortunately, it's a slow game. It's all done by stages, and I'm not there yet, but it's very your question's very interesting. It's definitely the intent, it's the goal.
Yeah.
It's just I have to be patient. I have to do what needs to get done right now. And what needs to get done right now is really to take the flack that I'm getting, knowing that there's people out there that are being helped by what I do.
Yeah.
Reminding myself that although most people don't comment, but people listen. It's always reminding to me, like my coach that called me today, he never commented on anything, but he's like, I've been following you for years. I've been always watching what you're doing. And yet he's one of the greatest men that I've met. He's a great individual, but he's a professor, so he cannot talk about this. He cannot openly go out, or else that would mean his livelihood. So it's all I can do until I can achieve that, until I can get there. I just need to remember that it's part of the journey.
Ultimately, it is. Consciousness and expansion happens slowly, just as it did for you too, right? Your own path and your own journey to evolve to where you are today wasn't an overnight or so. The patience, the patience that are required for others is needed too.
It's very interesting when you look at it that way. When you I don't know what you think about this, but I see this often with people that are more awoken when it comes to that stuff. And I'm not saying in the woke state that we politically speaking, and just people that are more open to this. They tend to, exactly like you said, take a lot of time to get there, because that's the natural process. It takes time. But then they want to change people right away. It's like it took them a lot of time to get there, but other people should change now.
Yes.
This is the portion that I have to keep in mind, to be very careful about.
I think that's a natural ask, a natural desire as individuals of, I get it, so why don't you get it? Look, I've just given you the shortcut.
Yeah.
Here.
Ain't that the truth?
So why don't you get it? Hold on a second. What's happening here?
Yep. This is something that needs to be kept in mind. I know I have to remember that.
I think we all do. It's a process, it's a journey, and perhaps it's the bigger reason why we're all here. It's to create space for individuals so they can sit there and open their hearts slowly.
Yeah, that might. I wouldn't be surprised that that's the reason why.
Right.
I know for a fact that we're here for a reason. I know for a fact that we're here to serve, that we're here to help. So that would make sense. That's as good as an explanation as I think I would be able to come up with. That I know I have something to learn. Maybe that me as an individual, I'm supposed to learn patience, because I'm not the most patient person. And the only way that I'm going to learn patience is by helping others. So realizing that it takes time to help others will develop my patience. There's a great story I heard somewhere, I can't remember where, but it was a man saying, it was a man praying to God, and he was asking God for patience. God told him that I cannot give you patience, but I can put you in situations that will require you to be patient. So I've said this story many times, but maybe I never really paid attention. Maybe that story was meant for me to understand. maybe that's the part of the story I didn't quite grasp.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I never thought about it this way, but maybe that's exactly.
Absolutely. Could very well be. Could very well be.
Yeah. I just had to say it out loud. I guess this is what it is.
What's the most joyful piece?
This.
That you,
what we're doing right now. This to me is the, you know, we're talking and I get very emotional about this. Like I've had watery eyes for the past 15 minutes because this is what I love to do right here. What we're doing, like I've recorded probably more than 200 podcasts in the past 2 years, and I don't think there's something that brings more joy to my heart than that, to be able to interact with people that if it, you know, one thing I've learned with podcasting is that I've met some of the world's best at what they do on the planet Earth just because I was putting a microphone in their face. If I would have approached them to say, I think you're a phenomenal person, I would love to sit down and have a coffee with you, they would have looked at me like I was a crazy person. But the
mm,
fact that I say, hey, bro, I'm going to bring a bunch of cameras, bunch of microphones, and I'm going to publish it online, people are like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I love to do podcasts. So
mm,
I think this is the part, to me, podcast is just a way to get a conversation going with great people. And this, I think, is what I like the most. There's nothing that makes me happier than being capable of having a conversation like the one that we're
mm,
having. Just having a
mm,
conversation, no judgment, just a conversation. And you know what? Between you and I'm not thinking right now that it's recorded. I'm just having a conversation with you.
yeah,
Eventually that's going to end up online somewhere and somebody's going to hate me for what I'm saying, and it's okay. It's part of it, right? But right now I'm as honest with you as I would be if we were face to face with no camera. With this is what podcasting has taught me. This is why I think I love podcasting the most,
right.
because I'm becoming so good at speaking to people that I can make them forget that they are in front of a camera, that they are in front
Mm,
of a microphone, and
mm,
we can have a simple conversation between two human beings. Wherever it goes, no judgment. It's just, it's there for everybody else to enjoy afterwards. But if I had to choose, I would say that it's this, exactly what we're doing right now. Love it. There's nothing more I love. Nothing
beautiful,
more I love than this. Yeah.
beautiful. It is a gift. It is a gift to be able to really connect with individuals on their journey, wherever that may be. Totally aware or unconsciously living life in a default mode, it doesn't matter. Everybody has a story and everybody has a journey. And yet, we're all still challenged with being patient to be there for them.
Yeah, it is. You know, for the longest time, I did not realize I had that gift. From since I can remember, people just approach me all the time. I'll go somewhere and there's always somebody that, wherever I go, there was somebody at the gym today. I'm just about to take a shower and there's a guy that starts talking to me in the change room. Guy's
Mm,
20 years old. Just because he saw me hit the bag and he saw that I had a camera, started a conversation, but it happens to me all the time. Just I'll
nice.
be doing something and it's just my girlfriend makes a, I don't know if she's there, but she makes a joke out of it. Like she rolls her eyes. She's like, oh, again? Again? Because I enjoy it. I will
Yes.
speak to somebody I don't know for 30 minutes in front of a store because it just happened. It's
Yeah.
organic. It just happened. I didn't. What are the chances? See, this is what I keep in mind. What are the chances that if you look at every single event that has happened in my life that brought me to the exact second that I am right now, you look at that other person's life, all the events that has happened to that person, for us to be at the exact same time, at the exact same place, wanting to talk to each other. What are the chances? You can't even calculate what it would have taken. They could have decided one time 7 years ago to retie their shoe before leaving their house, and just that action would have prevented us from meeting.
Mm,
So I try to keep that in mind when I meet people that approach me to talk,
yeah.
that they still, there's a reason why this is happening. And I think that's why I like podcasting so much,
Right.
because the day you start paying attention as to why somebody enters your life, you start realizing that there's only two ways. There's only two reasons somebody's in your life. They're either there to teach you, they might be there for a while, they might be there for 2 minutes, or you're there to teach them. And again, You might be there for, they might be part of your life for the rest of your, they might be part of your life for the rest of your life. They might be there for 2 years. They might be there for 2 minutes. You don't know. You might never
Yeah.
see them again after that
Yeah.
interaction. But once you start looking at those interactions and just taking them for what they are and say, okay, what was the lesson here? What was
Yeah.
I supposed to learn from meeting that guy, meeting that girl? This is where life becomes very beautiful.
It does when we can settle into it and not perhaps overanalyze it, but it puts us in a position to really see, are we standing in our own truth? Are we walking our own talk? And being the genuine, authentic person that we desire to be every single moment, be it at the gym or be it in the grocery store, wherever it is. Or whether the interview is being recorded or not, or whether you have a podcast or not. Is the depth of conversation still going to be the same? Is the connection still going to be there?
You know, this, I've realized that, yes, I can only speak for myself, and what you're seeing now is who I am. It wouldn't matter. I and you know what? This is why I get so much flack for what I do, because I'm just being myself. I just say what's on my mind and I say it the way it comes out, and I'm not worried about how people will perceive it. I just say it and I deal with the consequences after. But that's just because I'm being me. If there's one thing I am, is not a liar. I'm
Yeah.
definitely, I'm brutally honest to
Yeah.
quite the opposite, unfortunately. But you know, I would rather, as I was telling the young men today in the bathroom, as weird as this sounds, is I'd rather be hated for what I am than loved for what I'm not.
Right. At
Because
the
as
end
long
of
as
the,
I'm true to myself, that's all that matters.
that's all that matters. Exactly. Exactly. And that comment wasn't towards you, but rather the individuals who come on your path or on my path who shift their own perspective when other situations are put in front of them. A podcast, a book, a TV, a camera, or whatever. Does that really change the authenticity of the individual? Which to me is the bigger question. So from your end, in terms of harnessing this craft of truly authentically connecting with individuals, and I would imagine even through your sales career, there would have been an element of authenticity that displayed itself. But now the shift is you're the product.
You know, I've been saying this for years, and most people that don't understand sales laugh at me all the time. If I knew I could make somebody laugh, I knew that I could sell them something. Because I do not believe that there's something purer than laughter. I think that if you can connect with somebody that you've never met before and make them laugh, like a real laugh, not just a giggle, really make them laugh out loud, you've you were able to create so much rapport with that person that they are connected to you at that moment. You and that person are, the hardest craft on the planet is to be a comedian, because there's nothing harder
Absolutely.
than to make people laugh. There's
Yeah.
nothing harder in this world. So, you know, if I'm capable of making somebody laugh, I know that we've connected.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that we've connected, and just that makes it all worth it at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Beautiful.
but unfortunately, with most of the content that I do, I don't see how people laugh because I'm not sitting with them. So I'm hoping that they do laugh. I'm hoping, even if they laugh at me, that's okay too. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. That's all
As,
good.
lo- as long as there's a shift, right? The intentions are to make the shift for them and
You relax
support.
people so much by being able to make them laugh. It
Mm.
kind of takes the edge off of everything. If you can make somebody laugh, the edge is completely gone. It's like it literally looks like it's a direct effect on the ego and a direct effect on the heart.
Right.
Because there's no lying in laughter.
No.
There's no lying. If you find that funny, it will show. If you don't find that funny, it will show. There's no lying when it comes to
Absolutely.
laughing. You can always tell if somebody's sincere or not.
Absolutely. And that's a testament to your skill sets and the attributes that you have developed and carved out for your own market and for your own offerings, is to be able to read people and connect with people less on a superficial level, but more from the authenticity of a heart level, and that genuine feeling and connection, I think, is a gift that probably many are trying to harness out there, but you're trying to exhibit that for men.
But the worst part is that I've developed the skills over more than 12 years consciously through psychology. I've read a lot of book on psychology, and I've applied it. My job allowed me to apply very complicated psychology principle on a day-to-day basis. I could walk into how many times have I walked into a meeting with an idea behind I wasn't even trying to sell. I was trying to test a theory that I read in a book to see, okay, does that work for real? Is that something I can actually apply in real life? And that's what I did for years.
Right.
So, but one thing that I've come to realize is that it was natural.
Yeah.
Because I don't question it. There's people at the gym approach me all the time for no reason. I don't even wonder why. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I will give them the time that they need. I will just, if I have time to give right then and there, I will give it. And I won't ask it. I won't wonder why. I just do it. I don't even question it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. I had a great interaction with somebody that brought me more than often my workout.
And that's the gift. That's the gift of being present, and that's the gift of life, right?
And having the courage to go after. This week I was at the gym. I'm somebody that likes to analyze people. I'm the type of person you'll meet, you'll see somewhere on a bench drinking a coffee, just looking at people. People think I'm judging, but it's not that I'm judging. I like to see human interaction. I love to try to read people and see, okay, what type of person is this? Like, what's his life like? This is always what I'm thinking about. And there's this guy, probably about 50 years old, black guy, good shape, and he's training a kid. He's training a young man that's like 12 years old. They're not related, I can tell. Just by looking at them, they're not related. So I'm like, okay, that guy's a coach. I look at his build, I'm like, okay, that guy's played competitive sport. He's still in really good shape, and he's like 50 years old. So I'm like, okay, who the hell is that guy? So he passed in front of me. I stopped him. I'm like, hey, bro, what's going on? My name's Nico. How you doing? Who are you? Oh, he's like, oh, I'm Joseph Polk. I'm like, you used to play professional something, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I used to play for the Patriots, for the New England Patriots. Turns out the guy's super known, and I don't know football. I don't know the guy. I did not recognize him, but because I'm so acute at reading people, and I'm not scared to ask. I ask this, if something tells me inside of me, you need to talk to this guy, I don't question it. I just start talking to him. Turns out he's an old athlete, super cool. And you know what he does for a living now? He goes from state to state, and he helps with the mindset of young men playing football. He uses the fact that he played football for the NFL, uses the skills that he has acquired over years and years of competing and teaching life lessons through football. He did not need to tell me this. I could tell just by the small conversation, because a lot of people out there don't realize that sports coach don't really care about the sport per se. They're just having an impact on the people that they coach, and they're using the sport as a method to get to them. And this is what that guy was doing. It's beautiful. Having the time, I spoke to him for 2 minutes. That's it. I took a picture with him because I don't know why I wanted a picture with him. But I might never see that guy again. But just that interaction made my day worth it
Yeah.
because I followed my heart, I followed my instincts, and I met another guy like me that has the intentions of helping young men be better. He's doing it in a completely different way that I'm doing it. But this is the beautiful thing about purpose. This is the beautiful thing about the life that we live. Our intentions could be the exact same, but the method that we use in order to accomplish it are completely different. And it's
Absolutely.
beautiful because our
Yeah.
goal is the same thing, is to help young men be better. He does it through football. I try to do it through life lessons that are a bit more direct than what he does.
Right.
But the goal is the exact same.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's really, really, really a beautiful thing.
It's a gift. It's a gift to be met with somebody who is on the same mission as you are, because if we all saw answers from one direction, and if that one direction didn't resonate, then we'd quit the path. So now there's somebody else taking us in the same direction, but the path is a little bit different. So
you know what? Recently there's something like that happened. What you're saying is so true. Because there's a few times over the past few months that I don't want to say defeated because I'll never be defeated, but I was, there's days that are harder than others. I'm an extremely disciplined person, but there are some days that I'm just going through the motion because my heart's not in it.
Right.
And then somehow every time I meet somebody that rekindles the love that I have for what I do. It's a beautiful thing. It is if you start paying attention to what goes on around you, if you start paying attention to the people around you and you start looking at them as in there's a reason for them to be there. Call it fate, call it destiny, call it whatever the words you want to put on. But the day that you realize that every single thing that is around you happens for a reason, and if you want to understand yourself, understand what that reason is.
Right. But the most important piece is we don't need to do this alone.
It's definitely not, but it's hard to talk about though, because what we're talking about there is not something I approach. I love hummingbirds. Years and years ago, I had an ayahuasca experience when I had 2 hummingbirds I was alone in the grass by myself, middle of summer, one of the most beautiful days in the middle of the wood. Everybody's inside. I'm outside and I'm just starfished on the ground and I'm connecting with the earth. My eyes are closed. And once you're under ayahuasca, you don't know what's real. You don't know what's not. It doesn't matter.
Right.
All I could hear is and in my head is just part of the experience. I let go at that point.
Yeah.
And my buddy shows up and he's like, "Hey, bro, did you see what was up above you?" I'm like, "No, what's going on?" You had 2 hummingbirds that were just floating above your head. And what I was hearing is the slow motion of their wings.
Their wings.
Since that day, every single time I see a hummingbird, it tells me that something good's coming. Every time.
Nice.
The reason I'm still in Yuma right now, we were supposed to stay here a week. We've been here for a month and we're going to be here for another month, is because I was walking my dog near the Colorado River. We're just next to the Colorado River. I'm walking my dog. I sat down with her in the dirt. I was smoking a cigar and I was just being with my dog. My dog's looking at the water and I'm looking at my dog. We just be. I have the idea to step back and to lean. There's a hummingbird right above my head. And it flashed in my head. I'm like, yeah, you know what, Nico? You're supposed to stay here for 2 months. You have work to do. There's no distractions here. You should be staying here so that you complete the work that you're supposed to be doing right now. The reason we're in Yuma right now is because of a little bird that's about a 2 inches tall that did not speak to me in words, but told me I'm supposed to be here. And I just said, okay, no problem. I walked back to my RV. I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, you know what? We're supposed to stay here for another 2 months. So do you mind booking? Do you mind booking the spot for longer? And thank God my girlfriend knows me. She doesn't question it. She's just like,
Yeah,
okay, I guess we'll stay here for 2 months.
two
I'm
more
lucky.
months.
I'm lucky that I have somebody that believes
Yeah.
in my craziness.
Well, even though in the context of humanness,
Yep.
we sometimes can't conceptualize or rationalize a hummingbird making such a big influence in your life, but yet it's the relationship that you have built with it, be it in your conscious waking state or in your unconscious ayahuasca state. And ultimately, that is what you are aiming for, is for people to have relationships with themselves.
And understanding that they don't control much and stop questioning everything that they do and just do it. Because I don't question what I do. I've stopped questioning myself a long time ago. The day I connected with who I was, as soon as you know which voice to listen to, it really doesn't matter how others feel about it. It doesn't matter how you feel about it at that specific moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even question it. That bird, I didn't question. I saw it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll stay here for 2 months. I heard you. I heard
Yeah,
you. There's no question, and I haven't questioned it since then. But
yeah.
I don't know if you know, but hummingbirds are extremely territorial, and they only guard about one. I think it's 1.5 acre. So I see him all the time. I don't know how I know that it's a male, but I see him all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
see him every couple of days. He's just around the RV because it's his. I'm on his territory basically, but I see him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds
Keeping you on
crazy
your
though
path.
when I say it out loud.
Well,
Yeah,
it's keeping you on your path, and just
yeah.
because it's not, again, something we can read in a textbook and say, if you have a conversation with a bee or a bird or an animal, then it's legitimate. Yeah, but we know it is. The textbooks just haven't caught up, just as science hasn't caught up. But when
I've
you
never
lean
thought
into
about
your
it
own
that way, but
heart,
it's true.
yeah, but when you lean into your own heart and your own intuition, it garners more information that has been recorded.
You know, I now that you mention it, it's not something that anybody taught me either. It's not somebody did not come up to me one day and say, Nico, you need to start paying attention to the things around you. I started paying attention to me. And
Yeah,
once you start paying attention to what you actually are, and you start paying, you know, that saying that you are a reflection of the universe.
that's right.
You want to understand the universe, understand yourself first.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I never thought about it before, but I was never taught that. There's nobody that ever came up to me to say, you need to pay more attention, bro. I
Right.
just, the day I started paying attention to my emotions and try to make sense of what I am, it seems that something opens up. It's like something starts making sense, although it doesn't make, there's no reasons for it to make sense.
No
How
logical
crazy does it
reason.
sound that no, there's zero logical reason for me to have stayed behind in a place that I had no idea existed just because a bird told me so. It sounds crazy when I say it, but to me, it makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I left the city because something told me to do so. I bought a house 6 years ago because there's something inside of me that told me you need a house. One day you will need that house, and not a house, that house.
Right.
And I bought it with no extra reason that something told me to do it. And this
Yeah.
is how I've been living my life for 10, 20 years now. I don't
Mm.
question it. I just do it. Just
Yeah.
do it. No other reason. And if there's one thing I can hope for anybody that listens to this is find it in you to trust yourself. your life will never be the same the day you start. And when I say trusting yourself, not have confidence in yourself, this is not what I'm talking about here. Confidence is not strong enough of a word. Have faith in yourself. Believe or know. I don't even believe in myself anymore. It's a certainty. It's not questionable. A belief can be questioned. A certainty cannot. You cannot argue a certainty. You can't.
That's right.
And this is what, this is what I hope for people. I've never thought about this way, but this is what I hope for people, that you find the freedom that comes with being able to let it go, to stop. Don't even worry about people judging you. Stop judging yourself. Stop trying to make sense of everything, like you said earlier. And if something feels right, just do it. No, don't, no other, nothing else. There's such freedom that comes from, I take this for granted. The fact that I'm sitting in Yuma in an RV in the middle of the desert, to me, makes total sense. It's totally normal. Tomorrow, I'm driving 3 hours to go meet a guy that approached me online that I've been talking to him for 4 months. We're going to go spend the day together. We're going to record a podcast. He lives 3 hours away from here. Then a month from now, I was invited by a guy from Colorado to go spend time with him. So we're going to drive up there with the RV, and I'm just like, hey, cool. I'm going to Phoenix tomorrow because I'm going to meet a guy I've never met before. And then next month, we're going to Colorado because somebody approached me online that liked what I was saying, and now we're going to meet in Colorado. So I'll drive 18 hours or 12 hours to just go see him. With no other reason that it makes sense. It makes sense to me to go there. Nothing else. There's no more reason than that.
And nobody else should be questioning that. And that's the path and the journey that I believe that you take individuals on, to uncover some of those aspects of the voices, the actions and behaviors that have been installed in us that are not really putting us into our authenticity and our power. So I'm trusting for individuals who are listening to this, that they will reach out, connect, and maybe even put a positive comment on some of your socials and garner from your experience.
The day that you stop believing, the best way I can explain it is when I started spending a lot of time in solitude, I realized that there's a very loud voice in your head. It screams at you. It's louder than anything else, but it is not real. That voice is just your doubts talking to you. And the day that you realize that it is not the real you, that soft-spoken voice that's always been there, that's always trying to talk to you since you were born, will finally be heard for the first time in your life. The day that you decide to stop doubting your instincts, your hearts, your however you want to call it, the day you start listening to it, the freedom that comes from it is unexplainable. You cannot put into word. I cannot put it into words what it feels to be able to do what I do today, just because I don't doubt it, just because I do it. And I found a partner that believes that I'm right. She doesn't question my craziness ever. She just looks at me and she shakes her head. She's like, really? This, okay, well, okay, it's what it is. Let's do it. And yet, look at I can't even explain my last 3 years. I can't even, and this I know is nothing compared to where I'm going to be in a year from now. What I'm doing right now is peanuts. Something else I've never said on camera either is, as per the same voice that told me I'm supposed to be a messenger, I'm supposed to be doing this in front of large crowds. I'm supposed to be doing it in front of millions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thousands, I'm saying millions.
Mm-hmm.
This is what my future holds for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm supposed right now to prepare myself to be competent, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do it properly when I get to that point. But I cannot explain how liberating it is to know that this is where I'm going. And it's a certainty. It's already happened. I just
Yeah.
haven't gone there yet.
Yeah.
But I hope that I can help more and more people get that purpose, get that sense of freedom that comes from finally understanding what the reason is that you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the problems in this world that I see are based on the fact that they do not know why. Not having a reason to be here is depressing, will create what you see today. Is just the fact that they have no idea what they're supposed to do. And the fact that they don't know makes them sad. And this is a feeling that never goes away until you find out what it is.
And that's the path. That's the purpose of why we're all here. And that is the journey of why we all chose to be here, to unravel all of this. So I could talk to you for at least another hour and unravel some more of this conversation.
Hopefully we get to do it in person one day.
Absolutely.
That would be interesting.
It would. But I'm sure what you're doing is hitting many more people and individuals than you can recognize. And I'm excited for you in what's going to unfold for you, what the universe has in store for you as you build these retreats and help all these individuals who come into your awareness on their journey and their path, so they can stand a little taller and say, okay, I made a bit of a difference today. I'm excited for you.
You know, I tell my girlfriend this, I can't promise much to my girlfriend, but one thing that I can promise her is that our life will never be boring. This is one thing that I tell her all the time. I can't promise you everything, but I can promise you this. Our life is never going to suck. Our life is always going to be entertaining. That I can guarantee you.
That's what you bargained for.
Guarantee.
That's what you bargained for.
Oh, yes. That's the certainty right there.
Yeah. Nico, thank you so much for sharing your vulnerabilities, your courage, and your transparency with another side of you that you may not have shared with others. So I'm honored and grateful that you have today with me. So thank you.
Thanks for being you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity.
You're welcome. I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.